Great question. I had a pregnant pause there because I was waiting for YouTube to catch up. I think we should be live on YouTube as well now. So fucking big. It's true. You'll like a dozen unfunny questions about the World Cup so we can have some FIFA analysis deck. Yeah. Yeah, this is one question line. Except you get more than one. Like the official the official description will say. I didn't have a good idea for what to do on stream, but what I like to do on stream the most is talk to chat. I like the gimmick. I like the gimmick of that chat questions and interaction. So I'm like, surprise me, or whatever. Unc Gaming, it's happening. Yeah. I suppose we can switch on over. Moving on over. To the vidya. I will catch up in a second. I just got to get my token of difficulty +3 here. Need Toki acquisitions. Can I put these? Are these no trade? They are no trade. Ugh. Disgusting. However, foreseen, not unforeseen. Oh, not even a little unforeseen. All right, I'm done clicking. HeyWoah on the tube again. Xeno 8655. It's true. Switch over. Whoa. High octane gaming. Oh, Sergio Busta. Hello. Pause may be the only things that get pregnant more than English teachers. I don't know what you mean by that. What did he mean by that? Oh, you're going to be a second uncle across the pond. Interesting. Her partner, who is also your friend, is a great guy, and you're so happy for them both. I'm going to say something potentially controversial, but I feel brave, okay? Calling your significant other partner is cringe and cheapens your relationship. Don't do that. I'm just going to say it. It's not inclusive either. You can be inclusive without cheapening it. If it's two guys, they're both husbands. It's so easy, right? Like it's already, the nomenclature is already there. Partners are for business.
Wait a minute, how big it is? Oh, okay.
If it's two ladies, they're both wives. It's easy. You know? Anyway, that's how I feel about it. I'm all for being inclusive, although I'm not. But not in a way that kind of like cheapens it and waters everything down to bland California surgical language. Don't care for it. Mean what you say. Wow, EverQuest. Who would have thought? Yeah, it's true. Well, I am in the EverQuest category. I was trying to prepare you all. Anyway, good meme. Taxi 2 star. Is English teachers getting pregnant after your time? Yeah, it came out too early. It's like Pokemon. I never got into it because that one came out after I was like of the age to care about it or think that it was a good game. And I guess English teachers having kids is similar. It's too new. Too recent. Getting some recency bias on it. Flight of Eagles off. It's actually just annoying to float everywhere. Levitation is really good, but you're from Texas and partner is endearing? Okay. Um, that's not how I see it. Maybe Texas is different. Maybe it's just a regional thing. New gender neutral, agender, non-binary word for your partner, my consort. Yeah. See that one's got, I don't know. I like that one, even though it's clearly a joke, because it at least explains anything. There's something there. It's kind of funny. It's like we're partners in, like, oh yeah, well, I mean, the word can technically apply, right? Grammatically. I just think it's gray goo. It's dissolving of importance to me. But maybe I'm the one who doesn't go outside. Perhaps I'm the weird one. You just realized Kalia reference, your favorite commander. Okay, so we're a mage, right? Magician. Kalia, last name Vast, and the pet, we got Avison. I was gonna do Iona, but it got banned, so we can't. No fun allowed. It is an epic pet, though. Don't use big wide sliders to be Vast Kalia. Gender neutral, the old ball and chain. Yeah, there you go. Why is Iona banned? Have you ever read the card? Reading, to me, that one explains itself. It punishes the poor, which is its main problem. Iona punishes poverty, and there's already enough of that in Magic the Gathering, right? In the same way that, like, Sundering Titan punishes the rich unjustly, creates weird bad table dynamics where people are obliged not to, either to, like, save someone out of pity for no other reason, or not get rid of an Iona. People can't play the game. Nobody likes it when you can't play the game, right? The CC effects, stuff like that.
Big.
And, you know, new commander is like, oh, you can't play Blood Moon because it stops people from being able to play the game, right? Well, Iona is like Giga Blood Moon. What level of haste is this? 30%. That's pretty good. I'm looking for my last armor piece for an update on what I'm even doing here. I'm getting these. Oh, a lance, huh? This is like a custom zone with custom extremely hard stuff. That drops like tier sets that they made up for fun for this particular server. And there's a 6-piece bonus, and I don't know what the 6-piece bonus is, but the 3-piece bonus is so ridiculously overpowered that I can only imagine how good the 6-piece bonus is, because the 3-piece is so OP. And I have 5 out of 6 for the main visible armor slot pieces. And they are a random drop, and so we're doing it. We're doing it twice. It's a weird stance when card games favor the rich in general. Yeah, insofar as card games favor, well, insofar as everything favors the rich in all of human history. But I guess there comes a point in time where it's too much even for a game like Commander. You know, at some point you got to draw a line in the sand, I guess. And I think I, in general, agree. I would be playing with Iona if it weren't banned. Probably. but doesn't mean I don't think it should be. Ortiz thinks of the bits. 2,000 word essay. However, I did ask for, in a roundabout way, I did kind of ask for 2,000 word essays with the stream title, you know. If you could give Iron Jaws something to do in the shooting phase, what would it be? I would not do it. That's a bad idea. It's okay for some armies to skip phases. In fact, I think it makes for a more interesting overall game. Period. So there it is. I know it's might be seen as dodging the question in a certain respect, but I feel really strongly about this, that giving everyone everything in at least some capacity is in general a bad thing. And the diversity of models in AOS should be matched by the diversity of fun rules that are unique to the different armies. And the loss of that uniqueness is one of the main things that has led to 4th edition being boring and bad. And so I'd fight it. Anyway, Orterius bits. I've been running Laughing Jasper Flint and his boys. It's disgustingly awful. Like, awful kidney meat bad. However, please consider taking it with your Mox Field. You happen to be robbing you with donos and you're likely to lose it. Having the win, it's the greatest. And also, yes, they're requesting a look at my man's main accompaniment. You have a plan. I have dudes that. So, Laughing Jasper Flint. What is this guy? Let's see. I'm just going to look up this creature. Creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries at the beginning of your upkeep. XL top X. Number outlaws until end of turn. You may cast spells top. Oh, but you still have to pay for it. Ew, gross. Okay. You could build something out of that, though. It's buildable. I just don't like how fair it is. Ostensibly, the card is about outlaws, thieves, and murderers, cheats, train thieves, you know, so horse thieves, stuff like that. And then all of its rules are, like, really by the books. Oh, don't worry, you still have to pay for everything. We're fair and square here. It's got to be creatures that you own or control but don't own. So put all the theft effects in your deck. I don't know. Dude, I wanna cheat. If I'm gonna be an outlaw, I wanna cheat more. Serious question. Are you excited for the rumor that ogres are finally getting a refresh? Nice. Yeah, my excitement for that has diminished over the years, as my excitement for the game in general has, at basically at a 1-to-1 rate. Like, I'm probably gonna get them and paint them and stuff, I think, in the hopes that 5th Ed is good. Like, I'm banking enough on that already, I suppose. I mean, as far as, like, model purchases go, I tend not to do that a lot. I'm not, like, a big consumer on there. On that one. But, if the models are so fucking sick, then I will be forced to get them. You know? So really, it's up to their art team and their model team to sell me on their models. The game half of it is hilariously failing to sell me on their game. And I'm, like, a lot of people are perfectly content being like a hobbyist and just not really ever playing that much, or playing when it's good and then just not playing when it's not, and getting stuff to paint because, like, painting is their hobby. That's, like, not me, right? It's very much not me at all. I have models because I liked the game. And if the models are like so sick, but the game sucks, then like historically I have like no will to purchase them. I may do it if they're that cool just because of Super Copium about fifth or something like that. This is a good question. Introspection, you know. It's like the perfect type of character to be playing while streaming. It's because the pet simply does everything, and I don't have to pay attention or do much. Ooh, a one-hander? No. Across the pond says the orc thing is lame. It's a whole phase of the game. Skipping it is the last answer. I think it's the first answer. I think it's an interesting idea to be weak in some areas and strong in the others, right? Or even do nothing. You know, you're kind of asking me to make my point maybe a little more clear. Not that you're disagreeing because you're unclear about it. That's not my intended implication or anything. But it's like, what magic spells should a fighter in second edition Dungeons and Dragons have? My answer would be none. Because magic spells are for wizards. Fighters shouldn't have magic spells. One of the defining factors of a fighter that they don't have spells. They got to make it work some other way, you know? And there's tons of tools and options and all sorts of game mechanics you could give them to make them work anyway, excel anyway, you know? And then you're like, well, you could give a human fighter in second edition Dungeons, you could give them spells, you know? Because then they'd have spells, right? And I'm like, well, you could do that, but then it would be you would be making like a magic knight from Final Fantasy. And that's a cool class, but it's a different class. It's a different thing. It would also be cool, but I would just make a different thing. You know. If ogres get new stuff revealed Friday, would you be more upset if it was just oops all refresh, or if it was all new stuff and ogre players had to keep rocking dudes old enough to derive? I would like a full refresh before really anything new. But I don't know. Normally, notice how I'm answering slowly. I apologize, everyone. The fun part is getting good questions from chat. The unfortunate part is it takes me so long to answer questions that I end up behind. But, you know, hey, all right. Anyway, ogres are old enough. They are an old world army, right? What is it, 2006 maybe? For a lot of their stuff, I want to say. Predates end times by a great deal even. For a lot of their stuff, Finecast, you know, all that. They're really old. So I would listen to an explanation that we're wiping the slate clean and inventing ogres from the ground up as an Age of Sigmar army from T=0, right? I could see that. I could see them doing that, sort of like a, you know, Tomb Kings into OBR kind of thing. And that wouldn't be like a giant slap in the face. That makes some kind of sense to me. if they did that. It also makes some kind of sense if they just refresh, just give everything a PS5 facelift, right? And make them look really cool. The new sculptors, the modern sculptors in GW, could make the monsters of Beast Claw look so fucking sick. Like, if they're doing that, I can't wait. And I would be contractually obliged to buy them, I think. Let me really quickly try to catch up. 40K 10th gig sucked. AOS 4th sucked. HH3 sucked. Oh, geez. Okay, so it's a genocide. Can they really afford to have another edition bomb? I think they're going to have to shake it up. Sure. 4th was maybe too much of a shake-up. It was brave to do such a thing in a certain respect. I just disagree with every single thing they did. That's all. I feel like Red Letter Media talking about Star Wars 15 years ago, where they're like, you got to just bring in a director who just does his own thing and is good, and let him do whatever he wants. And then they brought in Rian Johnson. He made the worst Star Wars movies ever. And so it's like, damn, you did what I said, but I didn't mean for you to do it like that. I meant for it to be good. But yeah, obviously they're trying to do good. Because nothing else would make any sense. Pet definitely almost died there. Because I was yapping. Give me the blue armor. Ooh, only a +1. Disgusting. Speaking of the pet, what is that thing? It is a mage epic pet. Air. And technically, I think it's a base air pet. The mage epic is pretty involved to do, and the pet is overpowered. And you are rewarded for the brutal quest line you have to go through. The mage epic being probably the hardest one to do. Here's how you fix Star Wars. You bring in an original director and let him do whatever he wants, and you don't call it Star Wars, and you make a new fucking movie. Yeah, okay. But to me, the first thing you do is have a good script, and they skip that one, and it shows. Sell it back to George. He's just Kevin, but for movies. He is kind of Kevin, but for movies. That's a good point. That's a good point. Imagine if Lucas bought it back for $1 billion. What a flip. What a flip. He's up in money. Everyone thinks he's good now because of what they did with it. Dude, IP flippers. $40K 10th edition sucked and was also their most successful edition ever. Yeah, Zeno brings up a good point here. And you're going to have to come to terms with this, chat, if you happen to be a quality liker, okay? If you are a quality liker, let me tell you, as a man moving on in age here, it's going to be a rough one for you over the decades. Let me fucking tell you. If you are a quality enjoyer, like you like quality, it might be a hard one for you, okay? Like, are you mad at Magic the Gathering turning into Fortnite, just the most grotesque, disgusting sellout slop ever, right? It's really successful. The people love it. They can't get enough of it, okay? McDonald's is like one of the most successful restaurants in history. I wouldn't accuse their food of being any good unless you're drunk at 3 a.m. But look, quality doesn't really factor in very much, except for copium awards, and you don't even get awards for quality. Actually, it's all politics behind the scenes. So really, there's nothing there. This one might hurt. The only thing you can do is celebrate when shit that sucks like through no fault of sucking fails. Okay, this is why we can celebrate the Concords, the layoffs, and whenever some horrible shit that is bad fails. It doesn't really fail because it's bad. Never forget that. But we can at least get some celebration out of the deal. All right. And that's what you're going to have to hold on to. And as it pertains to a series or an intellectual property, or anything like that, never forget that the reason you liked it in the first place was because it was good. And if it is no longer good, you don't owe it anything. Keep the good memories and let it fall into the garbage bin where it belongs. If it begins to suck, that's what I did with Star Wars. I used to like Star Wars in the 90s, But it sucks now, and so I don't pay attention to it. I only bring it up as, like, examples when I'm talking about stuff, but I haven't seen any of the shows or anything. The last thing I saw was the depressing film that runs through the same character development for the same character 2 times in a row in the same way, and then ends on a low note. And then as like a post-credit scene, hastily filmed when they realized they made the most depressing, boring film ever, they put Darth Vader at the end of it, and he did some cool shit for 2 minutes, and that's all anyone will ever remember from it, and so they'll think it was good. That was the last one that I saw. It's no big deal. It's funny. Keep the good memories. But I don't know that they deserve another $60 just because some shit was cool 20 years ago. A24 made some new deal to develop AI movies. Yeah, don't worry. It's not going to get better. But there's no reason to feel down about everything. Look, I am the man who hates everything, right? Like, that's kind of almost a brand at this point. But there's a difference between hating everything and kind of like laughing, and hating everything and being miserable to be around. I think there's a big difference. Like a YouTuber who every thumbnail is GW dying, question mark, exclamation point, stock ticker going down, arrow, red line, There's a difference between that and red letter media, even though you could describe both of them as like just negativity. One of them is having fun with it. And that's what makes it powerful. It's about family. $60. What kind of movie tickets are you buying? I conflated it a little bit with video game prices. Don't worry about it. You know my point in general. Going to a theater. You're more of a Mordian glory than a major kill. I think I know major kill. Australian guy does 40K. I'm like aware of him. I might have watched one video 7 years ago, but I don't know too much about him. And I don't know Mordian Glory. That is to say, I don't really have an opinion about either of them. Good or ill. Just messing with you. Oh, okay. Just Josh and can't wait for the Italian lunch break. There it is. Video games at $60, dude. You can buy a GameCube. You can do it. It just announced. The price of the GameCube is $1,000 for the really, really tiny hard drive version, or $1,200 for the still really tiny hard drive version, but the number's twice as big. This was inevitable after AI made the prices of all RAM and GPUs 3,000% more forever, and entered somewhat of a cartel that just doesn't sell it to any other company but people building data centers. So I kind of feel for Gabe in a certain respect. He's not huge enough to sell it at a loss like Sony is, because there's no money to make once you've captured your audience. There's no overpriced controllers. There's no overpriced paying for online. There's no closed ecosystem of overpriced games, right? He would just be selling it at a loss to lose money for no reason. That, like, he's a very wealthy man, but companies like Microsoft and Sony, like, he's not in that category. He's a wealthy single person, but can't be taking a loss on a system like that. Also, he doesn't have 5,000 workers to lay off once that doesn't work. And Sony and Microsoft seemingly lay off workers for fun. Now, am I defending him here? No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's probably the price point is too high for it to be worth for me. It's a weird niche that he's trying to fit into. The dad who doesn't own a console and has a computer that's really old for work and wants to play the library of video games, every game from today till the beginning of time, backwards from his couch. And sometimes maybe put it in a suitcase when he flies somewhere. I think that's the target audience for the GameCube, right? You want to play games on your TV. You're not trying to be on the treadmill of consoles any longer. You just want to play 30 years worth of old games forever on your couch and sometimes fly with it. And in the past, 20 years ago, you would have gone on the Newegg and built your own, but you can't be fucking bothered to do that really anymore, and you can't put it in a suitcase anyway, so you'll give Gabe $200 to do it for you. I think that's like the target audience, or the market, I guess, for the GameCube. We'll see how big that audience is. Anyways, the market trends to efficiency, and you unironically believe this, clueless. And the market trends to things being cheap. That's what customers want. This goes back to the quality discussion. Better cheap than good. You will be financially rewarded if that is your mantra. Let's rebuff a little here before we enter the dungeon. Xeno first time chatter. Although has been talking on YouTube for a while. I'm just trying to keep up with him. And I see C. Oh, a little Japanese moon rune there. Nice. Like to see it. They have a good question, and I will answer it in a second. Do you think you will stream review of any of the recent AOS books? Probably not, because I'm trying to keep my content positive. I do have the Slanesh book, which was spoiled in PDF on Discord, and also the GHB. And I had half a mind to maybe go over them in this very stream that we're doing right now. But I don't know. I'm trying to keep my content as positive as possible, and this may cause you to laugh after listening to the stream so far. But just know that this is me trying to be positive. Keep that in mind, okay? This is the HeyWoah trying to stay positive that you're watching here. Impressive. If I went over the Slanesh book, I'd just be like, man, this shit fucking sucks. This edition sucks. This army sucks. They don't know how to write rules. They made the stupidest decision ever, and so they had a chance to not make that same mistake again, and they made the same mistake again. How do they do it? How do they keep not getting away with it? You know? It would just be that, which I guess would be funny. But I don't know. You see my dilemma. Maybe you see my dilemma. Interested in jumping into Rifts as a GM, but you're not sure where to start. Do you have any recommendations? If you're recommending books to get, I did do an entire Rifts World Book tier list where I talk about, at certain times, what would be a good book to buy if you're a player and what would be a good book to buy if you're a GM. Like a few of the books got relatively low scores because I felt like there wasn't much of a reason to purchase it, but I had a caveat where I'm like, if you're a GM, this is a great book to get. It's just a player wouldn't have to, you know. Wouldn't need any such thing. So I do have a whole stream where I talk about all the world books and put them in a tier list that CJ made. So aside from buying or downloading books, my general advice for Rifts to a GM is just make sure everyone's on the same page about it. The game is not balanced. It's purposefully imbalanced. But that doesn't mean you're supposed to play imbalanced games of it. It means you are supposed to be the one, along with the players, to balance it yourselves. Get your party playing at a similar power level, on a similar playing field. In Rifts, you can do the lowest, tiniest little game where you're all saloon bums and NPCs, and you can be in space fighting space stations. You can do whatever. But just have everybody pick a similar tier. Similar number of actions in combat, I think, is a big one, just so nobody's waiting around. Similar-ish amount of MD, with the understanding that the tank is going to have more, and why would a person want to attack the tank? Have a reason for that, you know, things like that. A decent spread, you know, magic person, a psychic person, a tech person, just for variety, you know. But get the whole group of players around the same table and just be pretty open about it. It's a real bad game for players to be trying to get one over on the GM or have in-party fighting. It's a very bad game if there's that. But if everybody's open and honest and you're like, all right, yeah, we're a team, let's all fit in like puzzle pieces, let's do some cool stuff. I think that's where I'd start you off. What do we want to see? An old man yell at new GW Cloud? Aren't there enough of those? Maybe I could do like one video, you know. It would be a little indulgent maybe, but It's the one I keep failing to make. The Hopes and Dreams for 5th edition video. Every time I write it, it turns into a hit piece, for lack of a better word, and I don't want to be that guy. But I suppose I could do one. I just have to have it land right. What do you think of doing a stream where you voice interview the ground level view on everyone's last battle tome with a real player of each army? I could do that. If we're talking about D&D 3.5, you cannot recommend Vault of Larenkar and the Lost City of Baracus enough. Oh, okay. No, they were talking about rifts, Palladium rifts, but 3.5 is kind of similar in that it's tons of options, tons of detail. Fun if you're the type of person who likes TTRPGs. Too complicated and confusing if you're the type of person who does not like TTRPGs, but have been marketed towards heavily the past 15 years. Gotta find that new player who kind of doesn't like the genre a little bit. Sandbox and a can modules, gentleman's rules. Oh yeah, and you're gonna have to do house rules, by the way, for the GM riffs thing. You're gonna have to like fix the game in several ways. And if that doesn't sound fun to you, then first of all, let me say it's a game where that is definitely worth doing. A lot of times it's not worth fixing the game. Like, the game kind of sucks in a bunch of obvious ways, but it's not worth going through all the goddamn trouble to fix the entire game, you know? There are games like this. Age of Sigmar, for instance. Like, why don't you just play 2nd edition and do a bunch of house rules and go through all that? Because the game isn't good enough for that to be worth doing. For Rifts, it really is. And it's fun. It's fun to flex your amateur game design muscles and try to fix something and then have players interact with it and then realize that game design is a lot harder than you thought. One of the main things that needs fixing in Rifts that you will no doubt come across is the magic system, particularly in combat. Just needs like either a million house rules or you just kind of smooth it over. Saving throws kind of are a problem. They may or may not need fixing, but really high PE giving you insane saves is a bit of an issue. Some of the combat is a bit goofy, simultaneous actions. Everything else, though, like, just because a rule is bad doesn't mean it ought to be fixed. Sometimes it's just funny. Like, you look up a table for, like, how something technically works, and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense, and it's kind of funny, but it's harmless. We'll just roll with it. And maybe the longer you play Rifts, the more okay with that you sort of are. Dude, they gave Magician a feigned death. Hell yeah. These extra classes are paying off. Well, extra classes worth of AAs. Man, feigned death is so good. It is so good. come time for EverQuest Legends, I'm gonna be hard pressed to play something that doesn't have Feign Death. I feel like I really want a Feign Death. Either that's Shadow Knight, maybe it's Monk. If Beast Lord gets it, it might be Beast Lord. Necromancers get it. I feel like I don't want to leave home without a Feign Death. It sort of depends, like how hard the game ends up being and stuff like that. But remember the mood going into 4th when it was announced? We were all happy and charmed by the Skaven updates. Yeah. Dude, the good time. Hey, remember when people were so excited about 3rd, I made partner on Twitch and every stream was 75 plus? Dude, that was sick. Don't worry though, 5th edition, dude, it's all coming back. Persona 6 will come out. Waifu Weekend returns with Blankies and Hot Chalky. The Persona 6 will feature adults with adult relationships instead of high schoolers. That'll be 5th edition will be good. The Ogre refresh will give us new centerpiece Beast Claw monsters. The worlds are just like the old days, dude. I can't wait. Persona 5 Arena Ultimax. Yeah. I know they're doing like a remake of Persona 4, which that's going to be a little interesting. I don't know about that. We'll see how it goes. Society has changed a bit since Persona 4 came out. And so I wonder how much editing we're going to get on that script. We shall see. Real Talk AOS 4 is the Street Fighter 5 of wargaming. Just because people didn't like 5. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people like 4 conceivably, right? Like the game's doing well. Damn, I wish this wasn't in an instance, so I could give that to my alt. Aggressive hyperbalance DPI frames are moved because it's too scary. Oh, okay. Is it? How's tournament attendance? Bad. Money's good though. I wonder. I guess I don't know. I don't know their figures and I don't know the real figures. I mean, not everything's tournament. Tournament's like 0% of their player base. You could say it's indicative a little bit of the health of the community in a certain respect, and I would make that argument actually. I don't know how much they're looking into that versus numbers on a sheet. Did you read the Sylvaneth book? It was actually good. Zeno? Oh. What was another? There were a few. There was like a book or two that showed a glimmer of hope. Looking at, was it the Tzeentch book, the Lumineth book, the Sylvaneth book? Was it those 3? Or like, oh, they're capable of doing something interesting. They just only do it to their 4 favorite armies. Well, favorite armies is maybe a little mischaracterization. I really think it's just armies that the designer is familiar with versus armies that the designer is not, and it's super obvious when they aren't really feeling it. I just wish like the game was like that. You can't be in your 10th year of making a game and have the quality control on your battle tomes be this amateurishly bad. It's insane. You've been doing this for 10 years. You're 4 editions in. How is it even possible to have 80% of books be nothing, boring slop, and then 2 of them be really good? I would actually understand more if they were 100% bad. Because reading through them, it's no accident. They spent a lot more time and effort and care on some of those. You can't be doing that. Did you get your mage epic? Yes, I did. And on this server, it's an evolving weapon. And so I evolved it 3 times, and I did the mage 1.5 epic. And I leveled up jewel crafting to fish for a gold practice veil, which on this server ups your pet. And I fished for a mythic one, finally got it. And so the pet is juiced. The pet is so juiced. I don't even do anything. Like I rebirthed into Beast Lord and leveled that all the way up. And then rebirthed into Spellblade and leveled that all the way up. And I have one more rebirth I could do still. I just got to grind enough AAs to have them left over to spend them later. But it's to the point where I am just like my pet. My pet just does everything. The pet attack button accomplishes everything I ever needed to, and I just have Shah's Reprisal for a slow so the pet doesn't die, and I sit there healing it and curing it. It's perfect. It's the ideal pet gameplay. When you play a pet class, there's really only 2 reasons you would ever want to play a pet class, in my opinion, in EverQuest specifically. And one is you secretly want to be a wizard and stand there and just fucking blast. But no one plays the game anymore, so you can't be in a group to have that happen. So when you're soloing, you want to just root something and blast it. But root sucks, so you can't do that. And so you send in a pet to at least taunt the thing and sit there so that you can blast it and be a wizard, right? That's number 1. And the second one would be you actually want to play the most absurdly overpowered melee class ever. And so you're playing a pet. And your actual character is just there to summon it, and you're not trying to do almost anything. That's ideal gameplay. And they have chosen the latter for this server. And I am here for it. I get the distinct impression that's not how it's going to be on EverQuest Legends. Which makes me wonder what the point of pet classes are philosophically on EverQuest Legends. Like, if your pet cannot tank a god, while you either blast the god or solo the god while you heal the pet, then I don't see why you would want a pet. If it can't do that. If it can do that, it's sort of like, why play a tank, you know? There's a lot of questions you gotta answer with that one. If a monk or a beast lord or whoever can just face tank a god, then why are there tank classes? Why would you ever want to play a tank if you don't need to? You know, that kind of thing. So it comes from both ends, and it's kind of hard to balance for a solo server in a certain respect. Were you killing the correct placeholder during the Rifts tier list stream? No. It had an identical name, and it was indeed the one mentioned on the map with the exact location and everything, and it was on the extra fast spawn point from the thing I was looking up on a P99 map. but this server used a different one with an identical name in the southern west portion of the screen, which I decided to just start killing, and 3 hours later it spawned the thing and I got the thing. But no, no big deal. It's solo servers like this, everything is turned up fast forward, right? If it was a live server back in the day, take the total time I spent killing the wrong one plus the total time I spent killing the right one, wouldn't even be a quarter of the time it would take for real back in the day on a real server. So I feel like I still came out ahead and I wasn't really torn up about it. EverQuest, you're supposed to like find a camp, find a spawn location, do some kill everything at exactly the right rate so that by the time you're done killing the last guy, the first guy you killed has just respawned. You're just supposed to camp out and old school grind. Watch those bars increase, increase your mana and recovery efficiency so you never have to stop, that kind of thing. Ogre Hype, he's back, and I just finished Friday's VOD, says Destructive Panda. It's a big week, so you're hyped for hopefully ogres. It's finally happening, maybe. Yeah. Unless what they mean by big summer is gargants. So it could be gargants, but lest it mayhap be ogrin. It could be both. It could be like one model from both, which would be pretty disappointing. 33. Yeah, I think that. Okay. 31. Yeah, this is legitimately an upgrade. It's Frost, though, which I don't want. What does this one do? Knowledge of the past. So I keep that. We keep knowledge of the past. Take my heroic intelligence upgrade. And, I don't need to right-click this one either. So I don't need to drag it down or make a new bar. Bard 3, we'll put that in the bank. Potential Bard character. Orc Boy Summer. And I didn't look when they dropped because I wanted a little suspense. Did I get any of the Force Meld tier set, which I'm looking for? Cleric, we'll sell that. True Spirit Chain, we'll sell that. I sell this stuff to the vendor on the server. Each of these tier pieces are worth probably 20,000 platinum or so. Some of them as much as 50,000, some of them as little as 5,000. But I just sell them to the vendor here, which makes them all about 200, just so new players or people who are poor and don't have equipment yet can just click on this lady and sometimes get a piece of tier for free. Share the wealth, right? Thought Haze, that's Enchanter. Earth Rot, that's Druid. These might be no trade. No, they're good. All right, Druid. Cleric. Iron Bone, which is the tier 1 warrior, but my warrior wants tier 2, so we sell that. Hollow Touch is Cleric. Earthborn. Earth Rot. Savage Cry. Ashen Heart. Fire Soul is Paladin. Darkfell is what, Necromancer? Yeah. Shadow Shift. Oh, that's Rouge. That's for the Rouge. Fire Soul 3. That thing's worth 75,000 maybe because it was tier 3 version of it. Iron Bone and Iron Bone 2. Okay. 0 mage gear. Awesome. Keep trying. I need 1 piece of tier 2 for my class that I don't already have, and I can get the tier 6 set bonus. Which is probably absurdly powerful, because the tier 3 set bonus is absurdly powerful. You remember back in the day, people took shifts camping mobs for other people and had phone trees to call around when it spawned? Yeah. Yeah, the good old days. It looks like, interestingly enough, so EverQuest Legends is made explicitly for dads to solo on, right? Just as this server is made for people to solo in a game that is balanced around having a group, so they make you overpowered so that you can solo, right? That's the whole point. But so they make EverQuest Legends, and everyone in the beta is making groups, and I think that's quaint, and I think that might happen when the game releases as well. Hey, we finally made an EverQuest where you can solo your 3 classes in one. It's a solo game now, just like you always wanted. And then the game comes out and everyone groups up and makes friends. How nice. Never underestimate a player's desire to play a game how it is not intended, but have fun anyway. Any named up? No. You know, I'm really spoiled. Most of these private servers have MQ2 implemented in them, like you're supposed to use it. Like you are intended to use MQ2 when you're on these servers. To the point where a lot of their, if they have like an external patcher and stuff, it'll just download it for you. It's going to be a culture shock not to have that on EQL, because you can't do that because it's cheating. Not being able to look at the map and just type tar, the name of the monster the name of the unique or named you're looking for, and just run straight to it. That's going to be I'm going to have to like wean off of that, or play a ranger with tracking. I've thought more about 3 class combinations. And like I said in my EverQuest class tier list thing, or I attempted to at great length remind people that thing is mainly like a historical, this is what the classes tend to do, this is what they did in Classic, this is what they do over time. And then the tier list thing was like, yeah, half the classes they haven't really done a second pass on them yet, so all of this information can change and will change, and if it doesn't change, it's actually like a surprise. So there is that. But oh, I can drop this expedition. Yes, rebirth. No. Yes. Okay, so they'll be 5 levels higher than me in the snake cave. But anyway, as we've gotten more information about EQL and their systems, and we're doing this to help casters and we're doing this to help melee and stuff, I've just been percolating about the class combo. I still don't think I like stances. The concept of them adding stances to the game, I don't think I like that. It feels like the systems within EverQuest, they had plenty of knobs to turn, especially when you're doing 3 classes in one, to be able to give you the power required to solo without introducing a brand new, never-before-seen gameplay mechanic that sort of fits on top of the whole game, and I'm concerned about it overshadowing things. That's my concern on stances. They're, of course, neat and sometimes even a little exciting. But if it ends up being that all the good 3 class combos are only good because of the stances that you get, I feel that will be a failure and they will have made something very un-EverQuest. But I'm willing to test it out. I got some trepidation. But as far as right now, I'm thinking, like, I know this is not exactly shocking. This is a commonly held, probably, I guess I've looked at plenty of videos, but I don't know exactly what the content creators think. Just as a giant block, like a think tank. But I feel like Henry Ford over here, you know, you can get any car you want. You can get any color you want as long as it's black. I'm willing to play just about any 3-class combination as long as it's got Bard in it. And, you know, my opinion on that might change, but that's where I'm sitting just as the default setting. I feel like I just want Bard somewhere in there. It gives you plate. The buffs are amazing for everyone. Gives you dual wield stuff. It's fun. You know, what's not to like? Oh, gives you tracking. Yeah, it's not as good tracking as a ranger, but it gives you tracking. That's hella tight as well. It's the fastest movement speed in the game is being a bard, and moving quickly is fun. It feels like I kind of want that. It might be the case that their other combos are going to be better because they're more focused, especially because of stances. I'm getting that. I'm smelling a whiff of that. But I probably just want a bard somewhere in there. Any interest in monsters and memories? Yeah, a little bit. I know the guy who's doing it. I shouldn't say doing it. The face of monsters and memories, you could say, the old EverQuest QA lead that eventually became a developer, and then started working with a bunch of other old guys on monsters and memories. I'm kind of interested in that. I'm not like EverQuest Legends interested in that. If Monsters and Memories went up for pre-order today, I don't know that I would pre-order it. But I'm just, you know, I'm ducking my head in. I'm looking in the window every once in a while, every few months, just to see what they're working on. Kind of the same thing with the MMO the THJ guys are doing. Oh dear. This is bad. It seems my pet pulled everything from the bottom level up to the top level. It seems my superiority has caused some controversy. Also, they all resisted feign death. Silver lining, if you note, my pet was fucking fine. Didn't even need a heal, basically full life. So that's good news. All right, we gotta summon a new one. You're excited for HO? Yeah. The THJ, the Hollowed Oath, for people who don't know, is the game the Hero's Journey people are working on. And that's kind of interesting. It's a very ugly game. Art and aesthetics wise. However, it's a really, really early version of the game that we're looking at. And so it ought not be judged too terribly based on that. And I rather like the game design they were doing. So I'm keeping an eye on it, in other words. Alright, I got all my pet focus item equipped. You're interested in that because someone with a real passion gonna make a world they love? Yeah, that's nice. I didn't mean for that to sound so dismissive. I don't mean it in that way. That's nice, though. I know their game design is going to be pretty good because they appear to be pretty good game designers. That's what I like about it. Summon some pet weapons, which on this server are actually good. Unlike normal EverQuest, where pet weapons are bad. These are positively broken. But they're positively broken because you're supposed to be able to solo. And also I ground for fucking ever to get the legendary version of that spell. Yeah, earn my treat, I guess. Primal Fusion, Summon Hatred. Burnout. Ice Flame Efflux. Boon of Immolation. Elemental Draw. All the clickies, Valiant Companion. Master of the Six, and buff bots. Oh, how I like buff bots. Oh, Disruptor Panda, my beloved Fire Slayers will get everything we ever wanted on Friday. Trust. Yeah, true. Same with Ogres, don't worry. Same with Ogres. And Sons of Behemoth. Maybe their army will feature more than 2 boxes you can buy. I'm still waiting for those Ale Guzzlers, aka Man Crushers, to get replaced. And for them to fix their heinous mistake of only 1 foot, 1 leg kit. What a... Man, I regret that so much. I wish they wouldn't have done that. The everyone has the same leg position thing. Maybe at the time they were thinking you wouldn't play 4 megas, but I can't imagine anyone would be that foolish. You're making the Mega Current army. Of course everyone wants to play 3 or 4 megas. Why am I moving so fast? Because I have Celo's Accelerando as a gem auto-enchanted into an AUG that's put into one of my equipment. It took forever to farm it up, but now I'm fast. Fast boy. I think the EOS book released in 2026 so far have been very good, to the point of some being the best in the Factions series. Sub-factions still suck, though. Yeah, the whole sub-faction system was kind of a miss. I'm hoping they revisit that. And by revisit, I mean, like, fully revert it to the old system, which was perfectly good and better than the current one and did not need fixing. Some stuff definitely did need fixing, but I don't think that was one of them. Oh, doing some Hobei. Fey Monk. Nice. Little Obey. What specifically are you working on this fine evening? Probably closing in on having enough AAs banked up to do a 3rd rebirth, which is the final one. Might do it. Might do it. Did I miss any, like, big questions, people? I know a lot of people started asking stuff, and then I took a long time to answer a few of them. Anyone have one I didn't appropriately notice? at the time. You're painting a Cruel Boy Killbow Big Tree Ballista. Nice. All right, second attempt at entering Silly Sar, I mean, at +5. Or rather, Rebirth version +5 levels on top of mine. Which is actually kind of easy unless my pet accidentally pulls 15 of them, which at exactly 15, they get like 1,000% bonus damage and life and everything, and they just kill you. Because they don't want you to quite mass pull on this server. Because it's just like some guy's desktop above a Korean restaurant, so like you can't quite handle people pulling 300 monsters and crashing it, and so he just makes it so that they kill you. That's fair enough. Do you have a favorite third-party indie skirmish minigame? You know, last year, had you asked me that question, my answer would have been no. I'm not really interested in skirmish games. However, I just played one and playtested for one. So I have one. I have one that I know about, and I playtested before it came out, and it's Vince's new game, which I have a nearly complete video on, but I felt I should stream tonight, just so I'm still regularly streaming, you know. And it's called Repent. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Fun little D&D 2nd edition Diablo 2 Dynasty Warriors Covenant like. Fun little skirmish game. Cooperative skirmish game where you're supposed to outsmart AI and kill gods. A touch grimdark in a fun way. Model agnostic, which is what you do if you're not a $1 million company, you know. Look forward to that. On sale now. I got a tier list video for that I'm working on, and a my experiences playtesting for a game that actually released the video. So look forward to those as soon as this week. But if you don't give a shit about me yapping about the game, you can just buy it now. If you feel like it. Ringing endorsement. Oh, ooh. Tier 3? Don't mind if I do? Nice. Almost certainly a earring upgrade there. Hey, this is why you do the Rebirth version. It's 5 levels higher than you. Everything's red, but decent chance at decent loot. This one's even a tier 2. No. You like Trench Crusade and StarCraft, however, one you'd like to play is Male Gast Magna Gothica. Wow, what a name. That's a funny name. I played Trench Crusade. I liked it. I especially liked the atmosphere and the art and the shallow but very interesting lore. The game mechanics were tight and list building was pretty fun. Trench Crusade was a good one. Haven't played StarCraft, but a lot of people on the server have, including CJ and Frank and SJ and all them. And they seem to really like it. One-handed blunt, huh? No. Oh, it's about necromancers doing crazy death metal magic and summoning horrible undead. Each faction has metal album recommendations. That's cool. Hey, I did something like that in one of my Every Armies. I'd recommend a movie to watch based on the art. I think that's a good little, like, that's a good gimmick, I think. Yeah, the first time I played Repent, I'm kind of reading through it and I'm like, okay, so it's really trying to capture the spirit of 1990s Dungeons and Dragons and Diablo 1. Diablo 2 actually, more than 1, to be honest. The town loop, the random equipment, the everything, all the curse kiss of every magic item is kind of cursed, and you find curses that you don't care about or can deal with. Letting you use fun little combos, combo gameplay. Well, not combo gameplay, but combo, like, list building. Heavy into making list building interesting. And feats. Like how fun having a bunch of feats are from D&D 3.5. And then I put the guys on the table and put the enemies on the table and then kind of ran through one game. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is also Dynasty Warriors. You're just killing legions of demons. Like, okay, sick. I didn't know there'd be a third part to this. When people get StarCraft, you didn't know it was out, which is worrying because you pre-ordered it. I mean, they've been playing it on TTS, so I don't know if it's officially released or not. I haven't been following it that closely. Being old school D&D, you joined a 4-man crew of 2nd edition D&D. Kind of a mix of advanced Dungeons & Dragons and 2nd Ed. I'm imagining player's option probably as well. You're excited? Yeah, it's at this point in time, it's kind of like a period piece. You're like, oh, damn, this is what it was like, you know, when we were still really trying to have, like, D&D was still really trying to do a down-to-earth Lord of the Rings simulation mixed with historical stuff. And that's really cool to keep it that tight. Being so grounded actually is quite, I think, more fun. Modern D&D has the danger of slipping into the stereotype of everyone is God's most special princess, the Marvel character. Perhaps strayed a bit too far from the source material. But there are plenty of superhero games, so people like that, right? And it could just be nostalgia talking. I mean, let's be clear. It probably is nostalgia talking. I'm currently playing EverQuest. Variant Interactive 989 Studios came out in 1999. So consider the source. Your friend wants to play Age of Sigmar, so he wants tips. Try before you buy. This game is not cheap. Games Workshop games have a stereotype of being extremely overpriced for the models. And the models are quality, but they are way expensive. It's more expensive to play Magic, to be fair to GW here. But get Tabletop Simulator. We got a thing on Discord about how to all set it up. You can play Age of Sigmar there. To try before you buy. Don't buy a $100 box of one unit when, you know, you might not like playing with it. Or a $1,000 army or something like that. Yeah, the tip number 1, try before you buy. Number 2, getting into the game with friends is like 1,000 times more fun than getting into the game without anyone to play with locally and having to resort to like Discord people to play with, but it's still fine. Also, when picking an army, make sure you like your army's little guys too. Everybody likes centerpieces. Centerpieces are cool. They sell armies for sure, right? But let's if you like actually hate your army's little guys, clan rats or skeletons and zombies or something, like you got to play those things in every army. And so it would behoove you to ideally find one where you really like the things you're quote unquote required to play with as well. The whole package. You can even be neutral on them, just like, you know, if you hate eels, like you just hate the eels, you can't stand them, then probably don't play Idnet Deepkin even if you like the Wave Chad and the Turtle. These may feel like basic advice, but it's based on questions that I get all the time. Or laments from players who fell into this trap. Also, paint bravely. Do things you think you are not yet good enough to do. Because being right about that is fine. A good way of getting better is trying to do stuff that's too hard. And you'll learn a lot. It's just paint. You can paint over it if you fuck up. That's the nice thing about paint. And you can keep doing that for quite a while before there's too much paint on the model to really paint over. And then you can strip it if you really want to. Anyway, those are like my generic suggestions, I suppose. General Wheel Echo, Milwaukee. I would not get into the game if you're the type of person whose real hobby is just buying things, though. Like there's the stereotype of the gray, of the wall of gray, or the shelf of gray, or the gray army, where you just have boxes and boxes and boxes of unpainted, unopened stuff that you bought as a passing fancy, and it just stacks up forever. And look into your heart of hearts and see if you're that type of person or not. If you are, just buy like anime figurines or something. Or just only play on TTS, or I don't know. Or just donate to me. Every time you're about to buy a $65 box that you will never even open, instead give me half of that. So you end up saving money in the long run. The paint advice is actually like really good life advice. Yeah, you can do that, right? There is, of course, something to be said for jumping in with both feet, you know, caution to the wind, and really fucking things up for yourself in a way that isn't like very fixable, you know? Like you can also do that. Right? That can also happen in life. But conversely, there's a type of person and a type of personality that legitimately, and they are correct, they feel they're not ready. They feel they're not ready to do something, to try something, to take that offer, whatever that offer is, or try to tackle something or accomplish something or do something. And they're right, they aren't ready. But a lot of times that's almost the only way to do it. Opportunities are less frequent than you might think, and over time you don't want to be the person who just kind of never felt like they were ready and they were right, and then it ends up you never did anything. Just don't burn your bridges, that's all. A lot of my advice boils down to being self-aware, I guess, and taking opportunities. Buy from indie games? I disagree. Controversial statement. I don't give a shit if you are indie or not. Just as I don't care if you are a family-owned local business or a chain. It is irrelevant to me. You know how many family-owned local businesses are run by fucking douchebags who are bad employers with bad money management, bad products? It doesn't matter. Buy good games. If it happens to be that there are more indie good games than there are giant corpo good games, then more the better, you know? As a tiebreaker or something. As a little cherry on top, sure. But I'm not worshiping at an altar of indie games or anything like that. And the people who jump into every single conversation blasting some company, usually correctly, let's be fair. But then, like, here, try my indie slop that fucking sucks that no one cares about. The board game people with 75 board games that I don't want to play. You're annoying. It's about balance, I guess. It's about family. And that's what makes it so powerful. Indie is like, it's like organic. Okay, it's like organic on the label of some milk. That's what it is. And I can't help but feel that that's like a hollow marketing gimmick that doesn't really matter at all. I'm not trying to buy indie stuff to spite a big company. I'm trying to buy indie stuff because it's good. And then it gets a little gold star, you know? A little scout badge. Hey, happened to be indie. Good work. Not a bad thing. Not a negative. But anyway. There goes HeyWoah again, speaking power to truth. Hey, all right. Oh, I'm out of mana because my mana shield has been getting blasted over here. So just going to your local game store a few times helps you touch grass and meet people in your city, and if you want to play with real people. And if they suck, then fuck them. Yeah. It also kind of, sometimes it helps you decide what game you want to even get into. You know, back when, in like 2nd edition time period for AOS, I was really vocal about liking AOS, and I was shilling for it all the time because I liked the game. You know, I thought it was a good game. But even still, even though I was the AOS guy, people come into my chat and they're like, hey, should I play 40k or AOS? My answer would be, and still is, whichever one the people at your local store play. Because you're going to want to play with real people. And I think AOS is better than 40k to play as a game. But if you don't got anyone to play with, it doesn't much matter. Whatever your friends play and whatever the local game store plays regularly, that's which of the two games you ought to get into. If it really is, you're like, oh, I don't know which one, you know, if it's one or the other. You happen to have a cool LGS? Yeah, I have some pretty decent LGSs around where I live, although I never go outside, obviously, but I got some nice ones. Much Magic is played. All right, we plumbed the depths of this temple, temple number 1. Time to go to temple number 2. I almost said temper, fucking CJ. Which temper? Starting to subconsciously do that, doing the fucking meme. I'm gonna get shot by some Korean guy at a Mexican restaurant. How do you get to the other ones? All the teleporters are broken on this server. Well, you just perfected levitation and you run across. It's that easy. And then we turn it off because it's annoying that you float a little higher on the ground. Always. You've been blessed with 3 really dope LGS. That's nice to hear. Yeah, some people have a really rough one with that. I remember there was a chatter or two back in the old days who had like the worst local game store ever, and the people were just like kind of crazy, not enjoyable to play against. You know, it's like you're reading some Reddit thread or like some Facebook thread, and you're like, this isn't, they're just making this up. Like nobody is this stereotypically that guy, right? You know, but it does happen. It can happen. Stereotypes don't come from nowhere. So luck of the draw, I guess. You have 4 and 1 is almost cool. Okay, well. You played too many indie games that were ass, even pointing out this combination is broken to the dev. They always responded with, well, I didn't design the game for comp players like you. It took you 3 minutes to figure this out, though. Yeah. I mean, Also, that to defend indie game devs a little bit, that is also the answer you will get from some corporate games. Or rather, you'll get no answer, which is the same thing. But yeah, it's just a bad comment. Hey, your game has this unfortunate interaction I think ought to be fixed. Well, the players just shouldn't do that. Okay. Then write that down somewhere. You might not intend it, and this happens all the time in game design actually, is you didn't think you wrote that. That wasn't your intention when you wrote those words. But the players aren't having a conversation with you, they're having a conversation with the words that you've written on the page. And if the game is telling them that this is what they should do, then you can't really be mad at the players for doing it. There's like two different things. There's what you intend for the game to, how you intend people to play your game, and how the rules are telling people to play the game. And it's really difficult to get those to line up. It's harder than people think. Be the sweat you see in your dreams. I don't think it's a sweaty thing. I think that's an absolute cop-out. That's an excuse. That's a cop. Well, only comp players would do that, you know. No, little Timmy's gonna stumble into that and just read the rules and do it. Why wait for like a social stigma thing to fix your game when you could just fix your game? It's a weak dev's excuse. Well, just don't be competitive about it, mate. Like, we'll just write better rules, mate. If you don't want people to do it, then write rules in such a way so that they cannot. Easy for me to say from my comfortable chair in my apartment. But just because the fat guy watching basketball looks at the guy who just missed the basket, you know, he threw the ball and it didn't go in the hoop, and he's like, "Hey, should have thrown the ball in the hoop there. Should have thrown the ball in such a way so that it goes into the hoop." You know, that fat guy's right. He ain't good at basketball, but he is correct. You should have thrown it in the hoop. And it's harder than you might think to do that, but it's true that they should have. Hey, whoa, how's the new place? Says the Ant-Man. Thanks for asking. It's so good. It's so much better than my old place. In fact, it really puts into light, it brings to light how shit my old place was. You know, I'm a hermit, as you know. I tend to live simply, you know. I'm a frugal person. And, you know, moving into the new place, I'm just like, oh, wow, look at this, you know. The stove works. Well, okay, the stove worked in the old place, but the oven didn't. And so I'm like, oh, the oven works. I can use an oven. Oh, this one has a, you know, this thing works, that thing works. I can actually clean this part of it because I couldn't clean parts of the old like tub because hard water damage had like screwed the metal components of it, and they were like chemically kind of destroyed, and you just couldn't do anything about it. The wiring in all the rooms works correctly. That's nice. The AC works, as you can hear, no doubt. Talk to the landlord about something. They just like fix it, you know? I got a parking space in a garage. They gave me a beeper. You know, I can push a button and the garage door opens. I have my own little spot, so I don't have to clean snow off of my car in the winter anymore. That's gonna be great. Living in Wisconsin as I do. It's just a nice place. And I got everything set up except I am waiting for a floor lamp. Like a tall kind of floor lamp. That's the last thing. So we're using the little ogre because I don't have a light yet. Well, I mean, I could turn the light on in the room, but then it's a overhead light and it'd look weird, and you get it. You get it. Mythical 2 girdle. Low heroic stats. 76 haste is a fucking lot. Maybe an alt wants that. Alright, I think I can stop picking up money. I'm rich enough and there's no real platinum sink in this server. I'm saying no to hundreds of thousands of platinum per boss run by just selling stuff to the vendor so other people can get cheap upgrades if they want for fun. I feel like we're probably rich enough. Gonna miss the telltale sound of the air conditioner. Ka-chunk burr, yeah. I mean, I have it on right now, and while you probably can't quite hear it, what you will hear is the compression of my audio when I speak, because there's that background noise. And so the sound quality is going to feel like it's got a compressed limiter on it in sort of a weird way. And I apologize, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to overheat myself here. I got to have it on. In the winter, the sound quality will just improve because I won't need to have the AC on. So that'll be nice. All right, let's get some mana back while we're at it. Ahem. Glad to hear that's so much better. It's true you don't realize how crap things are until you have something better. Speaking of 5th edition, Age of Sigmar. Yeah. You do a classic WoW tier list like you did for EQ? Yeah, I could do that. Someone's got a classic WoW class tier list, I could do that. I played classic WoW a lot over the years. I played World of Warcraft when it came out, for one. And then I played private server, classic WoW, probably a few years after Cataclysm, maybe. Played a different private server, classic WoW after that. I was on Nostalrius until it shut down. I was on another one. I did a classic TBC twice. I did a classic Ice Crown once. That Russian one. I want to say we were in a guild, Miracle and Ice Crown. Because it was a Russian server with a bunch of pay-to-win shit that we didn't want to interact with. And then did WoW Classic proper. And that was so much fun. A lot of people didn't like Classic when it came out. They're like, oh, it's just not the same. I had memories of WoW Classic, and it's just different, and people play games different. And I realized that it was the time period in my life that really is what I wanted back, and not Classic WoW. And I don't like how people are playing it, and the thrill is gone, and the magic is gone, and stuff. That wasn't my experience. I fucking loved it. It was awesome, start to finish. And we were the ones playing it the way modern people play games. Just destroying everything. Clever use of game mechanics everywhere. Raids with 26 warriors, like one druid, 2 warlocks, maybe, camping world bosses with our entire guild network of warlock alts to be able to summon the entire guild and kill a world boss within 1 minute. You gotta pull the world boss within like 30 seconds of it spawning. Getting our entire raid group summoned underneath the ground by clipping over a wall or clipping underneath a mushroom or something like that to summon our entire raid outside of an instance so that we wouldn't get our buffs stripped and PK'd and everything. Creating an entire 40-man raid of mage alts and then getting them killed and logging out right outside the raid instance so that when the guild you didn't like is running towards their raid every week, you sit there in ghost form on Discord and count down 3, 2, 1, and then everyone reanimates and just spams Arcane Explosion and kills them all, trying to making alts in horde guilds as like spies to figure out where their new summoning spot is for their world buffs to try to strip them from them. Opening the gates of Encourage by locking down AQ and keeping an entire hive under our personal control, making alliances with other guilds. Oh, okay, the Chinese Horde Guild, they're going to get that one, we're going to get this one. This shit was so good. It was so sick. Really enjoyable. Don't know that I want to do it again. Really. I've done it a lot. I've done it many times on many private servers. And in real Classic, man, we did everything. We opened the gates, speedrun Nax, got ATS on my Warlock, we got Scarab Lords, Grand Marshals, PvP stuff. We did everything. We got it. We did it all. Thunder Furies, everything. And so it would just be like, hey, you want to do literally everything again? Like, I don't know. Good memories. Had tons of fun. And that was Classic. So a lot of people came back to Classic and they're like, it just wasn't the same. And yeah, you shouldn't have expected it to be, but damn, did I have a lot of fun playing it the new way. I'm pretty sure the oven thing is illegal. I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe. But it's all water under the bridge. In a good place now. And it's got a nice deep carpet. Dude, this carpet is thick. What a nice carpet this place has. Vacuuming it is a treat. And it's good for soundproofing. Free soundproofing. Hey, well, thank you for your riffs video. Discovered Palladium's Splicers setting a few weeks ago. Become something of an obsession. Yeah, Splicers is cool. I like all their little side games, and it's neat that you can, either with some conversion or sometimes even no conversion, you can just play a bunch of that stuff in Rifts or the multiverse entirely, and or in their own little game, you know, Wormwood and After the Bomb, Palladium Fantasy, Heroes Unlimited, Splicers, Mindworks, even Nightbane even. Made a whole little megaverse out of the deal. Pretty cool. It requires a, you know, it's not a set it and forget it, you know, autoplay kind of system. You got to put some work into it, but I don't know. I think it's fun to put some work into it. That's, to me, that's a fun part. That's a feature. Glad you enjoyed. You're one of those different time people. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. I really enjoyed original WoW when it came out, obviously, and it was a different time. And it was extremely fun in a different way. But the difference, I guess, is I wasn't expecting to get that type of fun back. I was gonna have a different type, and I really did. I think I even enjoyed classic WoW more than I did vanilla. I wonder if that's true. I'm not sure, but the fact that it's even worth thinking about is, to me, says something. It was a hell of a time. Although when original came out and everyone was terrible at video games, it was pretty cool being a rogue and, you know, moving with WASD, which was advanced maneuvers for back then. Pretty cool to be a big fish in a small pond. When that shit came out. Like the year is 2005 and you're playing World of Warcraft and everyone is absolutely dog shit at video games and half of the people it's their first video game ever. And you have a halfway decent internet connection and they don't. You know about games in any capacity and you're like, I wonder what my rotation should be, and other people just haven't even heard of that. They don't know what a rotation even is. That's kind of like how original WoW was. So, yeah, it would be cool if everyone else was that horrible, you know, for PvP and stuff. But revisiting it later and kind of smashing everything, that was fun too. Anyway, Baby Seal loves bagpipes. You want a classic WoW tier list for classes then? This person wants to buy Gem of Celos Accelerando, which I have, for 100,000. But I only have one. I used to have two. I sold the other one to somebody for 30,000 because money is irrelevant on this server, and I wanted to give them a deal. Looks like I undersold more than I thought. It would be nice to find another one for alts and stuff, so we'll see if I do. You know, my classic WoW tier list might not matter too much moving forward. Word on the street is Classic Plus is finally maybe almost going to happen, possibly. I don't know if I'm interested in that, now that I think about it. Classic Plus. One of the things I really liked about Classic is that it did not have all the quote-unquote improvements to the game of modern WoW that I feel You know, it's not worse. It's arguably better in a lot of ways, but it's just very different. In a way that I don't think I want. And so if they're like, ooh, Classic Plus, it's classic except with a bunch of modern stuff in it. I don't know, man. I liked Classic because I was escaping from that shit. From sitting in a queue for 45 minutes to join a group that doesn't say a single word to each other and runs down a hallway and turns right twice and gets to the end of the dungeon and clicks on a treasure box and then never to be seen or heard from again. And doing really, really easy mode versions of raids so that you can do a slightly harder version of the same raid with more mechanics so that you can do a slightly more difficult version of the raid with more mechanics so that you can do a slightly more, actually, not slightly, a way harder version of the raid. And then you really did the raid. Like, okay. Then again, I don't think they've officially announced Classic Plus. It's just like rumor mill stuff. So I suppose we'll see. Maybe it's classic, except they I don't want to say balance the specs more, but balance the specs more and do what they ran out of time and couldn't do before, you know. Oh, now Red Paladin's finally going to be playable in classic. Like, I don't know, whoopty shit. I don't care. Maybe they add like, oh, remember the upside down Sinner's place when you glitch into Karazhan in vanilla? And now we expand that, and you know you could get into Hyjal and see the Blizzard Construction Co. thing, and then swim to the bottom of that pool. And now we're gonna add that, like we always meant to, but we couldn't in vanilla because we ran out of time or whatever. So like it's gonna be like content, but aside from that, it's whatever. My companion has glitched through the floor. Can I summon him? There we go. Nope, he's just gone. He's gone. Well, okay. Sometimes that's gonna happen. Anyway, I don't know how much I'm trying to play Classic Plus if it comes out. We'll see what the information is. Yeah, I think it's time for me to stop picking this stuff up. I have plenty of money. I think on this server, I just don't need any more money. I'll have like 300k by the end of this. The most expensive thing I've ever seen on the auction house is 100,000. And it usually caps out at about 50k. I don't think I need to do this, and it's just kind of a time consumer. Man, I wish you had that THJ bag where you could click the button and sell everything inside the bag. Oh man, that was so good. EQL will have something like that where you can just sell stuff straight from the loot window for less. Like you take a hit on it, but I will be enjoying that feature, that's for sure. Oh, the only iteration of Classic you were ever super tempted to come back for was Mop Classic, but only because you played tanks and tanks were insanely broken in Mop. Yeah. Class balance and class play style was so good in Mop. I hated the aesthetic of just Kung Fu Panda, the expansion, and I really did not enjoy any of the dungeons or raids, except Lei Shen, like the last one. It wasn't enough to get me to come back for it, but I understand that it was kind of a high point for a lot of people and a lot of people's classes. Throne of Thunder was goated, but everything else, meh. And the dungeons especially, I didn't like. Oh, no trade. Okay, well then, it was only going to be good for alts. I mean, you don't get stats for having this in your ammo slot. I'll just do it just to fill up a slot. This shit is MRC focus tier 5, 75%. That shit's good. I am indeed healing, even. I already have one. Okay. This thing is worth a lot. Oh, what is this? Infinite turkeys? Mythical endless turkeys, dude. Hell yeah. Nice. All right, we're putting it up here. We're putting it right there. Dude, endless turkeys. Nice. I get stat food if I want. I mostly ignore stat food in EverQuest. Different servers have different rules for how you allow it or not. Let's buy some of these. Okay. 36 H int only, but 46. So this is more of a... And then jungle absorption. More of a melee earring. And so even though it is better than my second earring by a lot, I think it would be best used on a melee. So we'll give that to the warrior. Got a question for you, says Jacob Ija. What factors make you decide to build a new commander deck? I'm looking for a commander that in general is real. Okay, this is going to be the most basic bitch shit ever for a little while, but bear with me. I want a commander that it is as cheap as humanly possible. And what I mean by that is, if it is a 3-color commander, it better cost 3. And I'm typically looking for 3-color commanders. I'm not really looking for mono. Maybe 2. Not 4, not 5. I'm looking for a 3. I like 3 colors. I think that's the sweet spot. It's got to draw cards somehow, or be a gas station in some respect. And I don't want it to be an absolute magnet. Like if it's the kind of commander you play and the whole table is like, we gotta kill that or we lose the game if he untaps, then I'm not trying to play it. Like a Voja, you know? I want to just sit there and accrue advantage while the game happens. And I get my little gameplay loops in. I'm more interested in gameplay loops than I am necessarily win cons or how to win. Or whatever, what have you. Like if it's got protection, cool. it's got to be something I don't already have and don't already do. And that's one of the difficult parts. So each of my commanders, I would like them to play pretty differently. So if this commander makes a bunch of guys and then you win with Craterhoof, I'm not trying to play a different commander in different colors that makes a bunch of guys and wins with Craterhoof, you know what I mean? I'm more like, okay, I have a commander that does Crucible Worlds, Life from the Loam. I think Crucible Worlds, Exploration, Life from the Loam is a really fun gameplay loop. I'm nostalgic for that gameplay loop, and it's fun to do. And the commander is cheap, it costs 3. It's got a little card advantage built in because you can retrace stuff. Self-mill means you have a big hand, quote unquote. All right, I think I can make this commander, you know. Or Glarb. He lets you play cards off the top if they cost 4 or more. And you can tap him to Surveil. And he costs 3 when he's a 3-color commander, which is the cheapest-ish you can get with a 3-color commander. And I'm like, all right. Put out Glarb, start doing stuff from the top of my library. Playing lands off the top until you get to a spell and then casting that. I think that's like a fun gameplay loop. You can use like the top of library tutors, which are normally card disadvantage, but here you can like worldly tutor for something and then just cast it if it costs 4. That's kind of neat, you know. And so it's got a cool little gameplay loop that I enjoy. And so I'll try to make a Glarb deck, see what I can do with that, you know. Typically, when I'm looking at building a new commander deck, one of the things that I tend to shy away from is when you feel like you're forcing it. You shouldn't have to force it. A lot of commanders require too much of you. You have to spin up too many plates at the same time, jump through too many hoops. If they're not out, suddenly your deck doesn't do anything. I'm not trying to work that hard. Shoe Lane Teller Tales sounds like the commander. Yeah, except it breaks 2 of the rules. I'm fine with breaking some of the rules if it's cool enough, right? But I don't know how to pronounce Shoe Lane. I think it's like I don't know what is it, Irish or something? There's some kind of language where CHU is pronounced differently. I don't know what it is. But anyway, Shoe Lane Teller or Tales kind of breaks 2 of the rules. One is it costs 5, which is way too much for a commander in my IMO. Yes, even in a green deck. And the other one is it has a bit of a reputation of you got to kill this fucker immediately. Otherwise, the person's going to start taking 15-minute turns. And whether or not that's true, you might not have a Shrieking Drake in your hand, for instance, is sort of irrelevant in a multiplayer social game. If people think it's true. And they'll act as they oughta. And so for those 2 reasons, I'm not trying to make a Shoe Lane deck. Too expensive, which means it comes out too late. Which means it's hard to protect. Which means you're not necessarily building a board state. You're kind of rushing to it. Which means you're filling your deck up with ways to cheat it out instead of cards that are good. And it has a, well, I would say well-earned reputation for being, if we let this Bant douchebag untap, he's about to take a 10-minute turn, which isn't entirely untrue. But he is good. He's pretty good. I forgot to summon weapons, and so my pet was a little struggling there. Muzzle Mardu. I was about to say something like you don't want a one-trick pony. But I don't know if that's true. It's fine. The more commander decks you have, the more fine it is to have one-trick ponies here or there. Like, that's fun. Especially if their trick is fun, you know? Sometimes you just want to blast, and that's fun. Nothing super wrong with that. You're building a Mayal the Anima deck with all older cards. It's going to be a great time. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's a classic commander. She's really cheap, but her ability is pretty expensive. And she wants you to fill up your deck with a certain percentage of monstrously expensive guys. But in her colors, that isn't a problem. If you're struggling to take creatures from your hand and put them on the battlefield, I don't know what you're doing in a Naya deck, right? Like, you can cheat them out with Elvish Piper style effects. You can ramp to put them out. You can do various, you know, tooth and nail-y kind of summoner trap kind of stuff. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can clog them up in your hand. One thing I like to avoid is decks that are seemingly at war with themselves. I'm obsessed with, like, elegance and streamlining and synergy and stuff. Not too much synergy. There's such a thing as too much synergy. I think I said it in my commander video where you can indeed have too much synergy in your deck. At a certain point, it becomes empty calories, and your deck is just drawing into synergy and playing the synergy to draw into synergy and playing synergy, and you start to just get like a super long turn that does literally nothing, and you start sweating like an anime character, and you're looking at everyone else at the table, and you're like, I swear I have win cons, you know. As you play your 8th creature that doubles the triggers of wizards and marmots when they enter and gives you an extra bunny when your bunnies become bunnies, you know? This happens a lot when people build Izzet decks for the first few times. And it happens a lot when people build tribal decks for the first few times. Where a deck is just kind of spinning its wheels and draws into enabler after enabler after enabler. So you can do that too often. The other thing I mentioned before was when a deck is kind of at war with itself. And I don't mean a non-bow. Like, what's an example of like a non-bow? Like a creature, whenever this creature attacks, double its power. But also it says something like, whenever you prevent damage, or you can remove, like, a reconnaissance. You know, let's pretend there's a legendary creature with reconnaissance printed on it. You know, you can remove this creature from combat for 0. But then also it like wants to deal damage. Whenever it deals damage, you do something. So it's kind of at odds with itself. That's not really what I'm talking about when I mean when a deck is at odds with it or fighting itself. What I mean is sort of like a not Obeka, but something close to that, where... No, maybe Obeka is a decent example of it. This isn't a bad deck. It's not a bad legendary creature even, and it's not a bad commander even. I'm talking about the Obeka that gives you 1,000,000 upkeeps, okay? So what she says, if I recall, is something along the lines of, whenever Obeka deals damage to a player, you get that many additional upkeeps. So what does this deck want you to do? Well, it wants you to play a bunch of cards that do stuff on your upkeep, obviously. Because your plan is to get a bunch of upkeeps. But then also, here's a commander creature who isn't exactly cheap at 4 mana that you're going to have to be able to hit somebody with. And so now the deck wants to play a bunch of stuff that allows you to swing through combat and keep her alive and deal damage to your opponent. And so your deck is kind of schizophrenic now, where you're piling up every extra upkeep synergy payoff card you're not playing reduces the number of cards you can spend to get your commander to actually hit someone to trigger that thing in the first place. And you still need all the regular things that you would need in a commander deck, you know, draw and ramp and answers and protection and all the rest. And so I feel like maybe the deck is asking you to do too many things. Now, you can make a good Obeka deck, and you can just hope your opponents are like randomly screwed early, so they just don't have a creature out, and you just swing, right? And that can always happen. And then you get 1,000,000 upkeeps and you do funny things. But some decks require, or some decks are wanting you to build your deck with a certain percentage of some type of thing in it. And as that percentage goes down, what your commander even does goes down. But in order to get the payoff, you have to do more than one setup or a difficult setup. And it's sort of like, well, if you're swinging with your commander and it's unblockable and hexproof anyway, then it's like you're kind of already winning at that point. Why are we hot dogging with this entire other thing that you filled your deck up with? I don't know if I'm making sense here or not, but this is why I write scripts. One of your favorites you have is your Shorikai deck. It wasn't to draw cards, make some tokens, as well as standard blue and white stuff. The spicy win con is Flood of Tears into Omniscience. Yeah, I remember that standard deck. Yeah. Bounce everything, then put a permanent, as long as you have 4. Then drop Jin Gataxias, the one that copies, okay, the 7 mana one. Then play Time Stretch and get 4 turns. Most of the table scoops, but if not, you have enough turns to draw a lot of stuff and swing into people and kill them. Yeah, it's funny. I like big wins like that. I appreciate it. They're not like really time-consuming wins, but they're big, and I think that that's the sweet spot. Sort of an absurdly, like an unnecessarily large win con, but you do want to try to kill 3 people, you know? You're not just eking it out. But you're also not taking forever, you know? And I like that too. Like, you resolve Omniscience into Jin-Gitaxias and you take 4 extra turns, people can safely shuffle up. Like, hey, all right. You know? It's not like, oh, don't worry, guys, I'm monomorphosing, copied into monomorphosing 3 times, and you have to watch. You have to watch this. Because I don't have it. It's, you know, the thing isn't in my hand. I might not draw into it, so you got to watch me resolve another Jessica's Will and see if the thing that tutors from my win con is in the top 3 again. It might not be. It's like, nah, 3 expropriates on the stack. I think we're done here. That being said, time stretch, while I appreciate that's a absolute 2011 Commander All-Star for sure, in the modern age, in this economy, I am not playing extra turn cards that have a target. I am playing extra turn cards that say you. I ain't trying to get deflecting swatted out of 2 extra turns, I'll tell you that. Bold, brave move. That being said, sometimes it's fun to put a little weakness into a win condition because it might create a funny moment. I did that with Glarb, for instance. In one of my win conditions in Glarb is the Doomsday Demon for 6 black that exiles everybody's libraries except for the bottom 6 cards. And then I put some Sphinx in there that mills all my opponent's 10. And then you pass the turn and they just lose. Well, it's only a mill 10 cards. It's not exile. So someone could have a Volrath Stronghold or maybe like an Eldrazi that shuffles up or something like that. They might be able to get out of that. And I could play a card that exiles instead of mills, and then there wouldn't have been a chance for that. But I think it's kind of funny that someday a person might have a card that kind of gets around that, and it might be an interesting situation. Getting back into Magic, you've run into a number of those pitfalls when trying to put decks together. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to help out. You've been messing with copying in Myriad, and the sneaky problem is accidentally doing enough damage to slaughter one player to your detriment, since you're no longer a distraction for the rest of the pod. Yeah, and Myriad suffers. The more players are killed at the table, the weaker Myriad is, until once it's a one-on-one, Myriad actually doesn't do anything at all. So it kind of inversely scales in that respect. I don't think that's like a terribly big problem. It's just an asterisk, that's all. It's kind of like Goad in that respect, where Goad is a pretty decent defensive tool in a big game. But once it gets to a 1v1, the opponent just swings with their whole field at you. And it's possible you'll just die right there, unless you deal with that somehow beforehand. Myriad doesn't necessarily have that weakness, because it's not like... it's just that Myriad doesn't do anything. It's not that what previously you were protected from you no longer are, or something like that, like with goading. And when you sit down and play a 3-player game, because there just happens to be 3 people only that want to play Commander right there, your Myriad stuff is quite a bit weaker. It's 50% weaker. Like you get 2 guys instead of 3. Which again doesn't You know, it doesn't kill the crab or anything, but it's just noteworthy. That being said, Myriad is really fun. I think Myriad is a kind of a huge success of a mechanic. It's super fun. Very Commander. Very big and splashy. It suffers from the problem with aggro in Commander. And by the problem with aggro in Commander, I don't mean like, ooh, you have to do 120 damage to win the game. I'm not talking about that kind of problem with aggro. I'm talking about you want to have an aggressive deck where you're like attacking with guys and killing people. But you eventually have to contend with the truth that it is far superior in almost every way for the fact that something is entering the battlefield, triggers, and just kills everyone is way better than trying to get haste with everything, trying to trample over with everything and deal combat damage with everything and have to care about blockers. It's just better to you know, terror the peaks and everyone just dies from triggers from those same creatures entering instead of actually worrying about all sorts of attacking things. And now you got to put a whole bunch of stuff in your deck to give things haste, and you have to put a whole bunch of stuff in your deck to get past blockers and care about combat math. And you're just like, what if just the act of casting those creatures killed everyone instead, and that's just like way superior? And so Myriad kind of does that a little bit. Where you're like obliged to put Myriad on ETB guys that just kill everyone before it really even gets to. Like, you are in combat, sure, but we're not yet to blockers, and everyone should be probably dying from triggers and stuff. And it's a trap. It's like a deck building. I wouldn't call it a trap. It's a temptation. That's why Model has been fun as a commander. Giving Parapet Thrasher, Fanatic of Mogus, and stuff Myriad, yeah. Oh, blessed Fanatic of Mogus. Special little guy. Who is my favorite commander that I own right now? I got myself 5 commander decks. Although really I have 4. Which one's my favorite? My newest one is Sum Ting Wong, and that's very fun. I like that guy. You've asked me which child is my favorite. Let's see. I like 6 a lot. It might be 6. For my favorite commander. I think it's 6. It's just a really satisfying gameplay loop that I like a great deal. The Crucible, Exploration, Life from the Loam. I just really think that's swell. And using your graveyard as your second hand, being able to retrace stuff, sacrificing it so that you can just retrace it again. It's got Apex Devastator in it, which is like the timmiest card ever. It's got Portal to Phyrexia in it, which is like the timmiest card ever. It's got Craterhoof in it, which is like the timmiest card ever. It's a very timmy deck. It's a little bit of a theme deck in that the the design restriction is that every card in the deck has to be retraceable. You can I'm playing 0 non-permanent cards because I want to be able to retrace every single card in it. That's the design restriction. It could be a much stronger deck if I played some instants and sorceries and stuff, you know, but oh, well, okay. There's one singular Life from the Loam. Technically, you cannot retrace Life from the Loam because it's a sorcery. However, Life from the Loam gets a pass because it is Dredge 3, obviously. So, that's the Life from the Loam is the one non-permanent card in the entire deck. Aside from that, it's 40 land, 58 permanents, and Life from the Loam. And it's a hoot. I don't have like infinite combos or anything in there. I don't do the sacrifice your land and then bring all your lands from your graveyard back out onto the battlefields. I don't like to do that really. I'm just going from meat and potatoes, super ramp into green full retard stuff. And it's so fun. For me. One singular Farewell. If anyone casts Farewell against my 6 deck, I am butt blasted into the stratosphere and there's literally nothing I can ever do about it. If I sit down at a table and someone's playing white, it's countdown until I lose the game with no actual 0 counterplay possible. But aside from that weakness, it's a very fun deck to play. I've even gone so far as taking out stuff because it just wasn't really fun to play with, even though it was really good. For instance, I had earlier versions of the deck had the Great Henge. I had the Great Henge in there. And Lumra, Bellow of the Woods, Scute Swarm. Those 3 cards are very strong. They're very good cards. But they were not fun to play with, so I took them out. Scute Swarm is not fun because in real life you have to represent stuff with tokens. And it was just obnoxious to play with it. And put a million dice on the same, like, insect token. And every land that comes out, you got to do math and start writing stuff down. It's just a waste of time. It makes my turns take even longer, you know? Yeah, the card's good and strong and better than the card I replaced it with. If you're just trying to win really fast or play something that's really good. But it was just annoying to play with, so I took it out. The Great Henge. Card's very strong. It essentially costs double green half the time. And, you know, draws you a card when you play a creature. And you put a 1/1 counter on any creature that you got as well, right? But sometimes you're retracing a lot of stuff and playing a lot of creatures, which, yeah, it draws you a bunch of cards, but you also have to put 1/1 counters on everything every time they come out, and I found that just to be too annoying, and it made my turns take a little too long, so I took it out. I am, even though sometimes it can't be helped, and everybody likes taking long turns and performing a lot of game actions, I find myself making changes to my commander decks in an effort to reduce the amount of essentially pointless game actions I'm forced to take so that I can have faster turns. which is why, for instance, if I don't, but if I had a life gain deck, I wouldn't put what's it called in there? What's that enchantment for 5 in white that whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on every creature you control? Most often paired with a bunch of 1/1 creatures that say whenever a creature enters, gain a life, and then you end up one at a time, you end up gaining like 10 life a turn, and then putting 10 iterations of 1/1 counters on all your guys one after another, but not in a uniform way. It's like this one has 9, and this one has 8, and this one has 7, and so on and so forth. That when it comes to like playing the game and doing all those actions, it just it's not a waste of time because it's a very powerful card and it will lead to you winning all the time, but it just takes a whole bunch of time, and in real life it's super annoying to put all those dice there and make all those different tokens, and it's something you do online where you can just copy paste them and that's easy, but in real life I'm not trying to do that. First time chatter, Grumpy Sebastian. What do I do if I found my girlfriend messaging her best friend that she is going to just use me for money and leave me eventually? This is a genuine question. You just stumbled onto this stream. Your girlfriend messaging her best friend that she is going to just use you for money and leave you eventually. Okay. How did you discover this information? Was it have you looked at the girlfriend's phone? Or is it the girlfriend's friend's phone? Or did someone tell you that? This will affect my answer. Oh, how old are you? That will also affect my answer. Destructive Panda, I don't change my strategy. I either make a 50-50 Cultivator Colossus or I lose. I like Cultivator Colossus, and he goes in and out of my Glarb deck seemingly every few days. Like, I'll put him in, I'll take him out. It's a lot of green mana symbols in a 3-color deck that's trying to rush out an Urborg, but not necessarily trying to rush out a Yahumaya, although it is in there. I like that guy. Even if you're not doing the abundance combo with him, I like that guy. He has trample. He's a big dumb idiot that will, on average, draw you a few cards when he enters the battlefield. And he's big and has trample. People have to kind of respect that when it comes around to your turn, which I think is kind of cool. I like him. He's approved. Sounds like a great time to set healthy financial boundaries in the relationship, or learn to paint Warhammer models and find other cool people to hang out with. I'm wondering about the grammar of it. Like, it's weird that someone would just say, straight up, you know, like, you're watching a police procedural or maybe true crime or something, and, you know, they confiscate the suspect's phone, and on his phone, he, like, sent a text message to his friend, hey, you want to break the law in this exact way that I will now describe? And then the friend's like, yes, I want to do that with full knowledge. It's just like, do people do that? Do people just say it? Just straight up say it? Or is it like an inference of some sort? whatever happened to little, you know, implications or coded language or something? You know, it sounds like the secret nightmare of a man, but spoken in real or typed in real life, just straight up by a woman, which is weird to be that explicit about it. Like stereotypically, that's always a concern, you know, for a guy, right? Am I just being used? But then again, if you take money out of it, I feel like it's sort of a universal concern. I bet everybody in a relationship at some point in their life, male or female, has been concerned that they were just being used. You know, for their money or the fact that they had a house and the other person might not otherwise, or their body or whatever. I guess it's always a concern deep down somewhere for a lot of people. Also, a lot of people will just say stuff to a disapproving friend that they don't necessarily mean, but they're trying to keep up appearances because they're perhaps embarrassed by the relationship for some other reason. Which, to be clear, is also not healthy and a bit of a red flag. I don't know that you ought to be embarrassed by the relationship you're in, and if you are, um, that's somebody's problem, possibly yours. It's also worth knowing if you have money. If you don't, there's a lot less to worry about. Well, if she's just using you for your money, but you ain't got any, that sounds like her problem to me. Ha ha. You know, the fucking, that's a Dracula flow line, right? It's a bit of an immature way to feel, which is why I asked how old you were. And moreover, how old the girlfriend was. All right, I think I've killed just everything in all three of these towers, just about. There might be a little extra room here or there that I haven't quite gone to yet. Once you kill, I think it's 100 monsters in this zone, it spawns a boss outside that's super hard and gives you difficulty tokens for killing it. And I was gonna see if I could get it to spawn. It doesn't always. You know, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. So I'm just looking at the outskirts. do a quick rebuff here. Oh, just all right. Just a little more. I think the thing I really rushed through was temple number 2. So if outside the boss hasn't quite spawned yet, we'll do another sweep. I don't think I did much of anything on the bottom floor of temple 2. There's a lot of creatures attacking me now. Man, that mana shield is really useful. Potentially overpowered, but I guess everybody's overpowered on this server, so it's fine. Also, definitely blasted through it anyway. Any other questions? This is fun. I think it took too long for me to get to that one guy's question that was brand new to the channel. So he's probably long gone. Was a very generic, obviously made up question probably, so I guess no big deal, but it's a really good shield I just picked up, and now I have to decide if I want to continue using a two-hander with its higher damage or use a shield with its amazing stats. Of particular note is Spellblade, which is a custom class on this server. It gives your pet bonus damage based on the weapon damage of your staff, which normally doesn't matter for a caster. But here actually does, and I think maybe I want the two-hander for that reason, because it's not about me, it's about the pet. Alright, we'll see if that boss spawned. If he hasn't, we'll check out the bottom floor at Temple 2. You and your friends are getting back into AOS. You play Slave's Darkness, wanted to drop Archaeon. Should you rock a full cav list and be very aggressive, or run some infantry and be a little slower but maybe more defensive? This is going to be advice from someone who doesn't play Slaves to Darkness, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think one of the strengths of Slaves to Darkness is how durable one brick of dudes is. And so I would play a brick of dudes and then everything else cavalry. I like having a bit of both. As always, try it out. But I like the option of just a brick of guys that can sit somewhere and just absorb points, and it takes perhaps an annoying amount of power projection to shift them. And cavalry are awesome. And so I just like cavalry. I like moving fast and doing a ton of damage. And Slaves does that. But I think one block of dudes as a treat, I think that's fine. Especially considering that's something your army does well. And Jacoby seems to concur. Yeah, as always, try it out, right? But I would lean into your strengths a little bit and see how that works out. Oh, I cleaned out floor 2 already. What about, is there a third? No, this is the bottom floor, huh? Okay. Well, which one was it that I didn't do yet? Those two guys, I guess. Also, Vanguard are boring. Night Gang rise up. I really like the look of Knights. I think Knights look better. I don't know which one's stronger because they've had updates and changes and stuff since I've last paid attention to it. Vanguard used to be better. Possibly might still be the case. But if we're going purely on aesthetics, I like the Knights more. It's the cape game. And also a little less busy. Oh yeah, the teleporter doesn't work. Alright, boss has not spawned yet. So we'll try number 3. Have you painted an all cav list before? Because that's a real consideration. Likes the Chaos Knights. Only one. I would really only consider it if it were a 3 or the base item type was so good and it was a 2. You have 10 Chaos Knights painted, 6 Vanguard painted, as well as Karadrak. Cool. I might have said Karadrak, I meant Karkadrak. Thinking back, I'm not sure if I said it right. Yeah, the Karkadrak model is so fucking sick. It's so cool. And what a success story, really, for Slaves to Darkness refresh. It's like the refresh I hope for everybody else. Unless the aesthetic of the army just sucks normally, then then I'd like a reimagining. But for the armies with aesthetics that are already kind of perfect, they really respected the source kinda on it, where it's like they knew they had it. They're like, yeah, we have this aesthetic is perfect. We just need to upgrade it to have like a modern poly count, essentially. If you don't play Archeon, then you have them as your general, yeah, for the board. Okay, let's see if I missed anything in Temple 3. If not, maybe the boss doesn't spawn every time. Maybe you gotta wait for respawns and hit it twice. That's possible. The only fashion that implicitly has its own soundtrack. Good morning, Alex Walker. Could you tell us about the beast that bleeds gravity again? Oh yeah, that's the Tri-Rex. Little funny monster I made up for some Rifts game a million years ago. So there's the T-Rex, right? Well, this is the Tri-Rex. So it's a three-headed Tyrannosaurus Rex with chainsaws for teeth, and it bleeds gravity. Now, why does it bleed gravity? Because when I was making it up, I'm like, Alien from the movie Alien, that thing is a scary monster. And also, it's extra scary because if you're like killing it, it can kill you anyway because it bleeds acid. It's acid blood. So even if you like blast it or something, chances are you might die to the blow. It might kill you, you know. And so I'm like, well, what's stronger than acid? Gravity. And so the Tri-Rex bleeds gravity. So even if you're killing it, you can get pulled in. I think it was because there's a Rift's monster called a Tri-Wolf, and it was either a monster or some guy's like mount, like some NPC or something like that. Like a Tri-Wolf is intrinsically a funny thing. Like that's hilarious. Have you ever played Path of Exile? So in Path of Exile, they have quadrillas, and that is a very close etymology to this type of thing. Now I made this before there was a Path to Exile, and Kevin Simbedia wrote the words Tri-Wolf down before I made that up, right? So that's the history of it. But quadrilla is the same type of funny to me because it really rolls off the tongue. It's kind of perfect. It's extra funny. They have four arms. I don't know. It writes itself. It's great. And so eventually, I don't know. Maybe I am running a Rifts game right now. Who knows? Maybe they'll encounter the beast somewhere. The legendary Tri-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex. What was the other thing? I think it was. I want to say it was like for a Palladium Fantasy character that was in a Rifts game, and as an upgrade path, the GM was like, um, your character's thing is he's a barbarian, and so, his upgrade path is finding more and more dangerous fantasy creatures to slay and then use their hide to turn into armor, you know? Kind of like a modern Monster Hunter sort of thing, although that hadn't come out yet. And I'm trying to remember the other creatures. The capstone one, the final one was the Tri-Rex, but I'm trying to remember what the other fantastic deadly creatures that were just silly were. There's some rhinoceros thing. Might be lost to time. I can't think of them. I might remember at some point. Anyway, good question. Technically, rubble piles often have a lot of guys on top of each other. Maybe that'll put me over the edge. I should have maybe been counting, but I wasn't really counting. And I think the number is 100. I think you have to... surely I've slain 100 creatures so far during this stream, but perhaps not. Or maybe the number isn't 100. For the keeper to spawn. Is EQ more suitable to play solo than classic WoW? Modern EverQuest, yes. Well, modern WoW is a very soloable game. Modern WoW is almost a single player game until you hit a point where you kind of have to do mythics. Like, you can solo 1 to max level in like a day in WoW. And then you can do world quests to get your first, full set of gear. Ish. And then you can do delves to get your second full set of gear and kind of upgrade those, and you can actually just chill, like, doing delves and stuff for like a week or two and have a pretty decent allotment of stuff until you finally hit the limit or cap, and they kind of cut you off on that. Oh, you run out of keys, you can't get any more resplendent keys or something like that. And eventually you do have to do Mythic Plus. And finally at Mythic Plus is where it's no longer a full single player solo kind of game. You have to play with other people. And that's where WoW gets no longer any fun at all. In my opinion, I hate Mythic Plus so much. And it's just the whole game. And you can run them infinitely. You cannot run delves infinitely for any real rewards. You cannot run raids infinitely, but for some reason, Mythic Plus, you can run infinitely and get loot that's basically as good as just about the hardest raids for the most part. It's like the true end game in a sense. And only they get infinite runs for some reason. Man, I hate that. Don't like Mythic Plus much, but that's it. So anyway, that's where you hit the wall. And you can raid if you feel like it, but you don't have to at all. And the loot in the raids actually sucks super hard, except for Mythic. And you can PvP if you want, but it's not fun. So the game kind of ends with just doing Mythics until you hit a certain rating, or 10 everything, or 15 everything, or whatever your thing is, until you get bored and just stop, and then wait for the next patch. So that's like the WoW solo experience. In EverQuest, you have like a little mercenary to help you, and it's much more about the leveling process being really long and grindy, and the journey. And if you like essentially like arbitrarily grinding for a really long time for fun, which is, I like it, but not everybody does. And then the Mythic Plus point of EverQuest is probably the equivalent is joining a guild, I think. So when you're finally done soloing everything and kind of having a single player experience with WoW, which is, get to max level in a day or two, cap out on delves and stuff in 2 weeks maybe, then the end game is doing Mythic Plus. For EverQuest, the road to max level is way longer. It's meant to be it's meant to be kind of the main game, is getting to max level instead of rushing you past it. And then the Mythic Plus endgame thing is like joining a guild and doing stuff with them. Like little 5-man events and potential raids and stuff, but they're all like hella janky. They're not a smooth experience. Doing your epic quest and stuff if you care about it, but some of them do. Like going back and doing ancient content that takes forever and has collecting all your clickies that do different spells and stuff. It's much more like amassing a fortune of magic items and ancient weird mechanics and unlocking the rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 version of the spells that you're using, and the grind of Augs, which is super not fun, actually. That's one of the things in EverQuest that you eventually get to that's just blatantly not enjoyable, is the entire Aug system. So, you know, the fun ends somewhere for both of the games. But World of Warcraft is much more focused, streamlined, like an assembly line, like a factory. You are to get in, get max level immediately, like a greased pig just sliding down a funnel, you know? Do a bunch of solo stuff, and then you hit Mythic Plus, and you either like Mythic Plus and then you like WoW, or you don't like Mythic Plus and you quit eventually. And EverQuest is an endless grinding and quest journey where leveling is the whole thing, really. And then once you get to endgame, you join a guild and farm weird old stuff forever. And collect like 46 Augs that are super annoying. And incrementally upgrade in the same way every single expansion. Speaking of quadrillas, it did your heart good to see the Taming Mighty Silverfist in PoE2 is both extremely viable and very funny. I can't believe it's good. Because it, like, you look at that, and you're like, this is supposed to be a meme. Like, this is supposed to be bad. You're supposed to look at it, and it's part of their trailer, and you're like, yeah, that's funny, but there's no way it's actually good. And then it was good. Like, that's surprisingly cool, I think. I feel like Guild Wars 2 is a great game to play solo. Didn't they just announce Guild Wars 3? Summoned Rage Sword 2, huh? Okay. I mean, I can summon that too. It's weird that sometimes creatures in this game have summoned equipment. Interesting loot tables on this server. I played Guild Wars 1, either slightly before it came out or after, I can't recall. And I thought it was kind of interesting, but I didn't play it much more than a week, probably. And I never played Guild Wars 2. I don't have a horse in the race. Such as the power of 25% base crit chance, yeah, I suppose. With companions, though, a lot of the time, or with summons and companions, a lot of it is much more about the thing's AI. Like how quickly it makes decisions, how quickly it begins to move or decides to attack, and how many abilities it has to choose between and which ones of those are good, i.e. attack right away, or bad, take forever to attack, or cast some worthless like AoE somewhere. Like, yeah, the obviously damage and stuff is important, but a lot of it is what's the AI like? How fast does this thing choose to attack stuff? So on and so forth. Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to spawn this. I killed everything. Killed everything in all 3 temples. Hey, alright. Sometimes you don't get it. I'll see if the outdoor bosses have respawned in that other area, and then I'll go through the temple number 1, which should have respawned by now. And that'll either put me over the edge to summon the boss, or we just won't get the boss. We'll see. Some of you should be happy to know, perhaps Alex Walker and others, the Rifts game is starting back up, baby. Whole time we're waiting on things outside of my control, but the Rifts game is starting back up with some new members, new and old. Be Vince, CJ, Jupes, SJ, and the amazing Captain Plibet. 5 players in my game, the absolute max I would ever want. I'm more of a 3 or 4 players in my game kind of guy, but I'll make an exception. It's starting back up. I'll do probably not streaming them live. I'll record them and make videos. But it should be fun. Move the story forward. A bunch of fucking weirdos everywhere. Just how I like it. Funny characters, overarching campaigns, and some backstories and stuff. It'd be nice to get the dice out again. All the outdoor bosses are down in the jungle here. Are you a Guild Wars guy? Severe AIDS? What are you hoping for Guild Wars 3, or hoping that they don't do, or something like that? If anything. As I said, I played Guild Wars 1, like, for a week or something, but I don't have a horse in the race. I feel like a rebuff is probably worth it about now. right, send me to the temples. Water mana 5. Rejuvenating mana. Elemental drawer. Clickies. Eight minutes on Primal Fusion. We'll just use it. And Group Invis. A lot of stuff in this zone sees Invis anyway. But good to have for some stuff, I guess. If you had to hope for anything, is that there's a good mix of solo and group. You usually play with friends, so you're playing with other people. It's at least with people you know. You played WoW for a long time too. You agree with your stance on Mythic Plus. I just really don't like Mythic Plus. A lot of people do. In fact, so many people like Mythic Plus that they made a game called Fellowship that is just Mythic Plus the game. And a lot of WoW players really like it. Okay, well we do not have respawns in the temple. So it might be that we're just not getting the boss. And that's all there is to it. I mean, I'll go around and kill some piles and stuff while we chat, but boss might not be spawning this evening. You didn't hate it as much. You played Mythics with a full 5-man group. It was fun for us. You'd never queue up for anything with strangers, yeah. I mean, it's not that bad in like right now by this time. There's a rubble pile somewhere. Where is it? Oh, there it is. The piler. If you're trying to do like 10s or something, then truly like the average group, as long as it's your key, the average group you make is probably just gonna beat it pretty easily and never talk to each other. But you know, you do have some nightmare situations, and getting the group in the first place is really hard unless you're a class that everyone needs. You basically have to be the one that has the key for the most part. Otherwise, you're just not getting a group. Which makes sense in a certain respect. You enjoyed Guild Wars 2 a lot. You feel like it has a lot to offer someone who casually wants to play an MMO alone. There's a lot to do. Your friends are interested in playing 3, so you'll be playing that one. Nice. Yeah, playing with the boys is the way. A lot of games kind of aren't like that. It's almost, there's a, particularly MMOs, I feel like it might almost be a rule that playing an MMO with your IRL friends actually kind of sucks, depending on how old you are. Because inevitably, there's going to be 1 or 2 people who play all the time, 1 or 2 people who kind of do, and 1 or 2 people who literally only log in when specifically asked to. And so your character power is just all over the place. And the people who don't play a lot are a ball and chain, holding everyone else back and making everything kind of not fun. And the systems in the game oftentimes, like, severely punish you for trying to make that work. It's different for different MMOs, I guess. But a lot of times playing MMOs with the MMO friends is the peak, and you're either lucky or just literally in college if your IRL friends all play the same amount and they're like the MMO friends too. And a lot of MMOs have tried to make systems to fix this in various ways. Most of them only ever have to do with the leveling process, which is not the real problem. And anyway, WoW kind of solved the leveling process by making it last 2 days, even if you're pretty casual. And so you end up making like, okay, I'm gonna make a real character, which is my main, which is the one that I play for fun, and then I make some like homeless alt to play with my IRL friends that never really play the game that often, and then eventually stop playing. So yeah, the difference in how often people play or want to play, not even like skill. Obviously, skill matters too, and a supreme difference in skill can hurt as well. Like you just have one deadweight party member and you're four-manning everything. Like that sucks too, but you know, you gotta have a lot link up. And a lot has to go right for that to really work out. And I found it usually doesn't, and eventually it's just you playing by yourself again. One of the reasons you stopped playing WoW is because someone in your group didn't want to play anymore, so you tried to run it as a four-man and pug some rando. We had a hard time finding good players, and ultimately it kind of fell apart. You tried winging it alone, but like you said, you get stuck at a certain point and don't want to raid or go into mythics, so that was just it. You did meet a lot of people on WoW that still keep in touch from old classic days, Burning Crusade and stuff. I need a little stuff with the guildies then. More recently, it was only with friends, yeah. It's not something I expect any particular company to like fix. I think it might just be the nature of things. And a lot of it is fun despite that, you know. Like they released player housing for WoW, and that was extremely fun, and I was I couldn't believe it. Beside myself. I was shocked that they could introduce a feature that's just great. I didn't think they had it in them. My cynicism, maybe. I didn't think they could add a feature that was just great to the game. But with housing, they really did. And I was never really a housing guy. I like housing games, like No Man's Sky. You might think that it's a survival exploration game, and it is, but ultimately it's a housing game. And that's fun. And EverQuest has housing, but it sucks. And it's really janky, and they clearly like hacked the game to put it in there. Creative use of hacking an ancient system to technically get stuff to work, which is kind of impressive, but Final Fantasy 14 has some housing. But I never really got into it because the way they manage plots and stuff is just completely asinine. I don't understand it at all. Bro, it's a digital area. Just give everyone a plot. What's the problem? But yeah, I really enjoyed WoW housing. I made my big giant house and everything, and it was tons of fun. I'll come back when they add stuff, maybe. Overall, you enjoyed your time playing WoW over the long years. You haven't played since Shadowlands. That's when you quit. That is a understandable time to quit the game. Holy. Shadowlands. If your friend group still played, then who knows, you might still be playing, but no one plays it, so you have no interest in it. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you ever come back, housing is unreasonably good. Like, I can't believe it's as good as it is. I guess you got to be the type of person who likes the true final boss, right? Which is playing dress up, transmog kind of thing. Sitting in a house and moving a bookshelf 70 times until it's pixel perfect, and building a little funny waterfall by glitching stuff into other stuff. I don't know. Big fan of house building stuff. In otherwise RPG games. Since people make some crazy stuff for their houses, yeah. And they like let you do the fun thing. They got a team of like 4 people or something that's working on housing, and it seems like they chose people who are actually legitimately kind of excited about it. And you can tell. Well, speaking of legitimately kind of excited, EQL, soon TM. Looks like I won't be spawning the boss. Unfortunate, but that's fine. I've killed him before. I've done just about everything you can do on this server at this point. I guess I'm missing 6 out of 6 of the highest tier of gear. But at this point, all I could do is like higher and higher tiers of increased difficulty sliders that for the most part don't really give you, there's no real reason to do it, except for like I did a +5, I did a +10. I had my fun. Good server, fun server. Interesting. With the rebirthing into AAs and stuff, perky server. Pretty cool. Enjoyed my time here. All right, good stream. Thanks for watching and chatting and the questions and stuff. Appreciate. Somebody wanted like a WoW Classic class tier list. I could do that next time. Just gotta find it on Tier Maker probably. Friday. Somebody asked, do I even really still follow AOS? Not really. I don't play it. I'm kind of waiting for 5th edition. Okay, that's the truth of it. However, I do follow it as far as their big updates and previews. And there is a preview show, the Big Summer Preview, Friday, June 26, 7 p.m. BST. I'll be doing a watch party live. We'll be streaming it. And if it sucks, we'll make fun of it. And if it's great, we'll be hype. So there's no way that it could be bad. Because if it's bad, it's funny. And if it's good, that's good. So easy. Word on the street is ogres this time, maybe. Sons of Behemoth, maybe. Fire Slayers, any dwarfs? We'll see. That'll be Friday. TY for watching. Thanks for the subs and the biats. Appreciate it. Probably see you Friday for big reveal show. Anyway, see ya.